Hi everyone, it's Mike here. This morning I went to the beaver pond just after sunrise, and although most of the beavers appeared to have already gone to bed for the day, Momma Beaver was still working, and I was lucky enough to follow her on an excursion to look for some supper. For those of you who are familiar with Saskatoon, she's heading up from the pond towards the north, up to where the Diefenbaker Canada Centre is, and she's heading to the riverside of the Diefenbaker Canada Centre. It's not a place she normally ventures. As you can see, after she headed up from the pond, I stopped my camera and raced to get ahead of her so I could film her in the direction she was going. She stopped a couple of times to sniff the air and make sure there was no danger present. I then raced ahead again, and I went all the way to the fence past the Diefenbaker Canada Centre because it appeared that's where she was heading. That actually is quite a bit of a distance from her pond. She's at least the length of a football field away from the pond, which ordinarily isn't that far, except in this case it's completely wide open through a field. And ordinarily the beavers prefer to move through trees and water where they can get to safety in a hurry should a predator come. It seems that a lot of what they want for food near the pond has been taken by them over the last few years, and there are some other trees nearby that have been wrapped, so she is starting to have to venture further and further from the pond to get food to feed herself and her family. So she went into this bush and she picked a tree that she wanted, but as you can see, it got caught up, and it was a little bit of an effort for her to get it out of the tangle that it was in. She seemed to have figured out what it was caught on because she went back and chewed the branch of something off, and then after a little bit more struggle, she was able to get out of there with her prize. Once she started waddling away again, I had to press pause so I could race ahead and get in position to film her on her journey. Of course, I have to not only get ahead of her, but do so without spooking her or making her concerned. And I also have to get on the right side so that whatever light there is behind me. The sun was just coming out, so a lot of the valley is still in shade, although as you probably noticed, there was a few spots near the other side of the Diefenbaker Centre where the sun was hitting. So I raced ahead one more time and stood near the edge of the pond so I could film her as she brought this delicious looking branch back into the pond. As she swims through the pond, you'll see that the surface of the pond has lots of reflections of the things around the pond, and as the morning light is hitting it, it makes for some really beautiful colors in the ripples and in the pond surface. It looked like she was heading either for the culvert or for one of the food storage channels, but then she made a sudden left turn and actually pulled up next to the bank and sat down and decided to have a meal of what she had just brought back. Often she goes and gets branches like this and puts them in storage for the family to eat, but sometimes she stops when she's done and has some food herself. So she started eating with her bum towards me and also with the sun on the other side of her, or what light there was. So I zipped around to the sidewalk on the other side of her so I could film her from straight on and also with a better light. So the rest of the video is just Momma Beaver eating the fruits of her travels. I'll finish there with a close-up where you can see her teeth and tongue and hands working together to strip the bark. The thought I had watching her is it's really a lot of work for her to provide food for herself and her family. Going 100 meters through an open field with the risk of danger. Then the effort it took her to free that branch from the other trees it was growing amongst. She certainly earned this meal. The video will come to a close fairly shortly. I'll just cut it off while she's still eating. I hope you enjoyed this little adventure. I never get tired of watching her work to do the things that a beaver mother has to do day in and day out.